Number 10. Unsteady on her feet. Entertainment reporter Billie Bush interviewed Lisa Marie at the 2023 Golden Globes red carpet, and as we know, the ceremony on January the 10th was her last public appearance. She was there to support Austin Butler for his nomination for Best Actor in a Drama for his portrayal of her late father Elvis Presley. The interview has since gone viral, as many people have pointed to it as a warning sign that Lisa Marie was not herself in the days leading up to her passing. She spoke to Billie Bush alongside her dad's longtime friend Jerry Schilling, and at one point said, "I'm gonna grab your arm." Then she held on to him for support. Billie has since spoken out about that moment and said he is saddened over having done one of her final appearances before she died only 2 days later. He said, "It feels awful. I feel my heart is very heavy for pretty much anyone in pain." He also spoke about her mannerisms and said that he noticed throughout the interview that she was very uneven in her balance and her speech was very slow. Billie said, "When the interview was over, I turned to my producer next to me and said, something's off here." Number 9. Slurring Her Speech. A new TMZ documentary investigating the events leading up to the death of Lisa Marie Presley was just released yesterday, and it helps us get a clearer picture of her struggles at the time. When she attended the Golden Globes just 2 days before her death, she was visibly frail. Dr. Drew appears in the documentary and gives us his expert opinion on the warning signs displayed in Lisa Marie's last interview. He said that she was slurring her speech, she had drooping eyelids, and was unsteady on her feet. Quote, "That's not normal for a woman who is otherwise healthy at her age." The behavior at the Golden Globes was consistent with somebody on a lot of substance. At this point, a TMZ producer then says, "We have information that may explain why her heart suddenly stopped beating," to which Dr. Drew says, "The fact that she gets up and goes to the Golden Globes, good for her. I wish that someone had raised the alarm though, based on how she was looking." Dr. Dave Montgomery, a board-certified cardiologist and host of The Good Doctor, also gave his take on the interview. He explained on Good Morning America that many aspects can lead to someone having cardiac issues. He said that especially in women, incidences of heart attacks and heart failure for those ages 35 to 54 are going up. Number 8. Stomach pain. On the morning she passed, Lisa Marie reportedly complained of abdominal pain that continued to intensify, but the cause of death has been deferred due to pending toxicology results, which might still take several months. On that tragic day, her housekeeper discovered her unresponsive in her bedroom, and her ex-husband Danny Keogh performed CPR. She was then transported to a local hospital in LA after getting at least one epinephrine shot, which restored her pulse. She'd reportedly suffered a full cardiac arrest and remained in the ICU in an induced coma and in critical condition leading up to her passing. According to the report, once she was in the hospital, Lisa Marie suffered a second cardiac arrest and was pronounced dead not long after that. While cardiac arrest seems to come on suddenly, there are usually warning signs that are often ignored. The most common are chest and stomach pain, breathlessness, palpitations, lightheadedness or fainting, nausea, and vomiting. In fact, researchers have found that of more than 800 people who experienced sudden cardiac arrest, about half of them had warning signs during the month leading up to the arrest, and even 24 hours before. Of those who survived, 32% recognized the signs early and called the ambulance, while just 6% of those who didn't get help ended up surviving. Number 7. Struggling with stairs. On TikTok, yet another video was posted from the Golden Globes, which shows Lisa Marie was clearly struggling to descend a series of stairs at the ceremony, despite the fact that she got help from Austin Butler and Jerry Schilling. Reporter Billie Bush opened up about that moment. For his red carpet interviews, celebrities had to navigate 2 steps to the platform where he was standing, but Lisa Marie was having a lot of difficulty doing just that. Billie said, "It was clear that she was not coming up the 2 flights. I went down and met her on the carpet itself. I can tell you this, we had 2 steps up onto our platform, and I asked her, 'Here, let me lend you a hand to come up.'" He explained that she was clinging onto the arm of Jerry Schilling and very much relying on his support for balance. He went on to say she was cognizant. She was certainly with it, just a second slow, but she was there. She was definitely there, but just a tad off in some way. The host again expressed his sadness at her sudden passing and said that he would never have guessed something like this could happen, even though he did notice that Lisa Marie did not seem to be in the best place on that red carpet. Number 6. Mixing medication. The new documentary also dives into Lisa Marie's well-documented struggles with substance misuse. The outlet alleges that around the time of her passing, the singer had begun using painkillers in combination with weight loss pills. She first spoke out about her dependency on such medications in the foreword for Harry Nelson's book titled Prescription for Liberating a Nation in Pain. It was there that she wrote about the fact that she saw both her father and her ex-husband Michael Jackson die of complications from substance misuse. She started out the passage writing, "As you may read this and wonder how, after losing people close to me, I also fell prey. I was recovering after the birth of my daughters Vivian and Finley. When a doctor prescribed me medication for pain, it only took a short-term prescription in the hospital for me to feel the need to keep taking them due to the dangerous properties. She went on to describe the difficult path to overcoming dependence and putting her life back together. Through her writing, we find out just how much substance issues have affected her life and how many loved ones she's lost to the epidemic. Number 5. Rapid weight loss. According to the bombshell report from TMZ, we know that Lisa Marie lost a massive amount of weight in an effort to prepare for awards season and celebrate the success of the Elvis biopic. She had allegedly gotten plastic surgery as well and also started taking weight loss pills. Sources told the outlet that she lost between 40 to 50 pounds in the month and a half leading up to the Golden Globe Awards. She was said to have undergone an extreme weight loss regimen ahead of the ceremony on January the 10th, which she attended with her mother Priscilla. Of course, that's a very short amount of time to be losing that much weight. It's unclear whether or not it was a result of the surgery or the weight loss pills. But either way, it's incredibly upsetting to think that she felt like she had to change something about herself just to prepare for the appearance at the Golden Globes. If anything, it just goes to show you how much pressure is on celebrities, and especially women, to maintain a certain image when they're living their lives in the spotlight. It was a happy night for the Presleys though, as Austin Butler ended up winning the Golden Globe for his portrayal of Elvis, and he took the time to thank both Lisa Marie and Priscilla in his acceptance speech. Number 4. Life insurance policies. The documentary also touches on Lisa Marie's financial troubles and alleges that she took up to 3 life insurance policies out before her death. The singer was said to be millions of dollars in debt at the end of her life. She allegedly cashed out 2 life insurance policies and intended to take out a third, all to pay off her $4 million debt. She took out one for $25 million and another one for $10 million, with family sources telling TMZ that a third one might have been valued at $10 million. Lisa Marie reportedly filled out paperwork to receive a lump sum of $2 million, but the policy was never cashed in because of a paperwork screw-up. As a result, she apparently left $35 million to be split between her 3 kids, 14-year-old twins Harper and Finley, and her eldest daughter 33-year-old Riley. In the documentary, producer Katie Hayes states that Lisa was never disciplined about money. Quote, "She was a big spender and she made some bad investments. She basically blew through $100 million in 25 years, which was her inheritance that she received from her father Elvis. It's been reported that all of those millions dwindled down to just $14,000 by 2016. Number 3. Priscilla contesting her will. Damning court documents have pit Priscilla Presley against her granddaughter Riley, claiming that she was pushed out as a trustee and an inconsistent signature from her daughter Lisa Marie was used. She's now filed legal documents to set aside an amendment to Lisa Marie's trust, which eliminates her and her daughter's former business manager Barry Siegel as trustees and replaces them with her granddaughter Riley. Now Priscilla is hoping to make this amendment invalid. In the court filing, she claims that she and Barry were first named co-trustees on January the 29th in 1993. But when Lisa Marie passed on January the 12th this year, she found a new amendment, one that was dated to the 11th of March in 2016. Priscilla claims that that amendment, allegedly signed by Priscilla, misspells her actual name and contains a signature that appears inconsistent with her usual one. So she's bringing up the possibility of signature fraud. Priscilla also maintains that the amendment was never delivered to her during her daughter's lifetime, which is something that was required by the express terms of the trust. She also says that the document was never witnessed or notarized, and that the date on the document is suspicious. Number 2. Ongoing custody battle. According to the documentary, there's now a family fight brewing over the custody of Lisa Marie's 2 twin kids, Harper and Finley. According to the report, their father Michael Lockwood will almost certainly get full custody of the twins. However, Danny Keogh, the father of her first 2 children, was living with the family at the time of her death, and he was also very close to the girls, so there might be an issue when it comes to custody. TMZ reporter has claimed that there is a lot of bad blood between Danny and Michael. To give you some background, Lisa Marie was married to Danny from 1988 to 1994, and to Michael from 2006 to 2021. She first filed for divorce from him in June of 2016, and ever since their separation, they've been embroiled in a bitter custody battle over their children. During the proceedings, the singer claimed that she was $16 million in debt, with most of that stemming from unpaid taxes. Michael eventually asked her to pay him $263,000 a year so that he could enjoy a lifestyle that is closer to his marital status of living. He also wanted $40,000 a month in child support. They did have a prenup, but Michael later claimed that he was badly advised by his lawyers. The case was initially settled in 2018 in her favor, but in 2021, Michael went back to court demanding child support. And coming in at number 1, strained relationship with her mother. Lisa Marie reportedly had a fraught relationship with her mother Priscilla, going all the way back to her teen years. At the time, Priscilla was involved with the Church of Scientology, which is another factor that might have caused a rift in their relationship in Lisa's early years. The documentary featured an appearance from former Scientologist Karen Della Carriere, who said that she remembers strained feelings between the two of them. She recalled a moment when she saw them together many years ago and said Lisa had a long face, miserable, stepped out of the limousine, and I heard Priscilla say, handle her. Lisa Marie also spoke out about her upbringing and all the times she would clash with her mother. In a 2013 appearance on the talk, she said, my mom was really strict with me, constrictive. I realized that it's not going to work very well because it made us not get close for a very long time. We are now very close, but when I was younger, it was difficult to have a relationship with somebody that's got you around the neck all the time. But even though their relationship might have been strained at some point, we'll never really know the entire story.
Number 10. Seizing control. As part of a countersuit regarding the dispute surrounding the sale of the winery shares, Angelina Jolie's former company Novell has claimed that Brad Pitt wanted only to control the winery estate, Chateau Miraval, and that is why he is upset about the selling of the shares. In actuality, they claim he only wanted to control the joint financial venture and for years has been pushing them out and wasting assets on lavish projects that they deem completely unnecessary and unrelated to the winery's success, including a swimming pool and a recording studio, which I gotta say, doesn't seem super relevant to making wine, but you know. Number 9. Juliette Lewis. While this relationship has been lovingly reminisced on by both Juliette Lewis and Brad Pitt, the fact remains that it's kind of an odd one, even for the time period. The two ended up meeting on the set of California, with both of them being considered young, hopeful talents of Hollywood at the time. They dated for 4 years and seemed to have a great and beautiful romance, and just as Brad Pitt was actually getting ready to blow up, basically. But there was something a little odd about this relationship. When they started seeing each other, there was a 10-year gap between them. Now, this might not seem super strange considering there have been, bigger age gaps in celebrity couples and in regular couples, and for some that still seems pretty normal. But the real weird part of it was that they were at two very different sort of points in their life, with Brad being 27 or turning 27 and Juliette only being 17. Yeah, so she was still in high school, which I mean, I guess they could still connect over work, both being performers, but other than that, their life experiences would have been probably pretty different at that point. Some people still find this to be an odd relationship today, especially considering it managed to go strong for 4 years. However, both of them still remember it pretty fondly, although they no longer talk, which I think is pretty weird, but I guess it was a long time ago. Number 8. The divorce. I think one of the biggest red flags that people tend to overlook in cases like this is when things drag on. It's never a good sign, and it can usually mean that there are bigger issues that are kind of being danced around but not really unearthed or talked about. People who are able to put the past behind them and just move forward generally have nothing to dance around. That's why it's, so easy for them to just move forward with their lives. They have let go and they don't hold things against their former partner. But with Brad and Angelina, both of them seem to be struggling to let go and are still stuck in disagreements with each other even to this day, which could be an indicator that there is a bigger reason as to why they split, other than just deciding to go their own way. And that's what we're beginning to see really delved into now, as Jolie seems to realize that she maybe has to lay it all out or she'll never really be free. That she has to dive into some traumatic moments that she perhaps would have rather been kept a little bit more private and less publicized. There's also the fact that it took them 3 years to get themselves legally declared as single. Just declared as single, which is a long time. A standard divorce, by the way, takes between 4 to 6 months to get finalized, although obviously when there's custody battles and stuff involved, it can take longer. But it's still been a long time, even considering that. Number 7. Addiction. After the split between Brad and Angelina, Pitt cited personal problems as one of the issues for sort of the arguments that led to their divorce. In response, he decided it was time to do something about these problems and admitted himself to AA. This might not be a red flag in the sense that obviously going to AA is a good thing if you have a problem all in all, but it is a red flag that he did so right after the divorce, implying that his misuse had gotten to the point that it was dramatically affecting his life, with the divorce and whatever happened to trigger it kind of acting as a wake-up call for him, which kind of could be an indicator that there's something worse there. At least there was in the past, Number 6. NDA. In the current legal battle between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, the two are now feuding over the winery that they once shared and what Angelina decided to do with said shares. Initially, the two had an agreement that they would get clearance before selling, but when Jolie sold her shares behind Pitt's back, he protested. It was reported that Jolie wanted out of the joint business ventures and that Pitt was willing to buy the shares, but then their deal fell through, and this was apparently after months of them negotiating. Well, Pitt claims this this was so that Jolie could purposefully harm him after he was awarded shared custody of their 6 children. Jolie claims their deal actually fell through because Pitt wanted her to sign an NDA as part of the sale to him. Jolie was unwilling to sign that NDA as she felt this would limit her capacity to speak the truth of why their marriage dissolved and problems surrounding it. She obviously just didn't want to be silenced, if that is the case. While the two have differing stories as to why this deal fell apart, if Jolie is speaking true, why did Brad want to keep her quiet? And what were the terms of the NDA covering? Also, if it was a relationship, how does that relate to selling the winery? That doesn't seem like it should be included at all. Number 5. Harvey Weinstein. Although some say that Brad Pitt was one of the few who stood up to Weinstein, this unfortunately wasn't always the case. When it comes to his relationship with the notorious producer, many tell of the 1995 story where Pitt stood up to him to protect his then girlfriend Gwyneth Paltrow, who confessed that Weinstein had severely mistreated her, which to be honest is an understatement. However, what those people seem to be missing or not focusing on is the fact that after this incident, although Pitt did stand up to him, he also later worked with him. What? The 2009 film Inglourious Basterds, which Pitt starred in, was both distributed by and co-financed by the Weinstein Company. Angelina Jolie claims that Brad Pitt also approached the producer to work on his 2012 film Killing Them Softly, whose company ended up as the distributor for that film, which really hurt her because she also had a bad experience with him too. So, like, what? It's also pretty messed up, I feel like, if you do that when, you know, your wife is like, please don't work with this person. Number 4, she said. So Brad Pitt is complicated when it comes to his history with Harvey Weinstein. He privately spoke out against him years ago in the 90s when he, actively threatened the man when he put his hands on Paltrow, but then he was willing to work with him in 2009 and the 2010s. In 2019, he spoke out against the man, however, disavowing him and sharing the story of his experience defending Paltrow in the 90s. He also went on to executive produce the film She Said. Some people though deem this to be quite controversial, considering that Brad Pitt also seemed to be willing to work with him only a few years ago, which seems hypocritical. Is it all a show, or does Brad Pitt genuinely condemn this man? She Said is a film that follows the New York Times investigation of Weinstein and is also being produced by Pitt's production company Plan B Entertainment. Number 3, allegations. Recently, things have escalated quite a bit in the legal cases between Brad and Angelina, with Angelina even bringing up a previous incident that seems to be the inciting one in terms of their divorce. She alleges that Brad severely mistreated her and their children while on a flight, and based on the account given, that's truly an understatement here. It's said that Brad Pitt was under the influence and verbally attacked Angelina before turning on the kids when they came to their mother's defense, even getting physical. She also has attested that she and the kids are willing to provide evidence of this in court, and she's even willing to testify. Number 2, the kids don't want to see him. While Brad Pitt reportedly does see his younger kids but prefers to do so unphotographed, which honestly makes sense. I mean, who wants paparazzi around at all really to photograph anything other than maybe like a movie premiere? That's the only time, I think. It's also reported that he perhaps hasn't seen his older kids in years. In fact, according to a source for US Weekly, Pitt does not have any kind of relationship with his eldest son, Maddox, and doesn't talk to Pax either. In fact, it seems that the inciting incident on the airplane in 2016 is likely where the breakdown of the relationship between son Maddox and father Brad began. The source is saying ever since then, it's been really rough between them. However, according to a source for People, Pitt does still see and maintain a good relationship with his younger children, having nightly dinners with them whenever they are in LA. But it's interesting that his older kids seem to not want to see him, especially as, they're older, so they kind of have more, I guess, more agency in making that choice. Number 1, testimony. Maddox doesn't only not have a good relationship with his father, but reportedly also testified against him during the custody battle. Although we don't know exactly what was said, an exclusive source told US Weekly, Maddox has already given testimony as an adult in the ongoing custody dispute, and it wasn't very flattering towards Brad. It's also been said that the distance is so great that Maddox even wants to legally change his name. The source added he doesn't use Pitt as his last name on documents that aren't legal, and instead uses Jolie. Maddox wants to legally change his last name to Jolie, which Angelina has said she doesn't support.
Number 10, old videos. Since the scandal broke, so many people have been searching through videos of Ned and Alex together, and the result is very telling. Every single video gets progressively worse when you realize that Ned and Alex had been seeing each other in secret. In fact, most of the content with them together has not aged well at all, because you can clearly see the two of them flirting on camera. There was a video of Ned where he looked genuinely disappointed that Alex didn't pick him to team up with her for a game, and another video where he was in the hot tub laying his head on her lap, while the other guys exchanged uncomfortable glances at each other. Alex clearly didn't seem to mind though, but it was very strange because he was still her boss. One of the comments on the video says, "How was it just normal for a married man to put his head on another woman's thighs and we all ignored it?" In fact, if you go through the past Try Guys' videos, there are just so many clues that Alex was Ned's side piece. It's insane. Talk about foreshadowing. Number 9. Defending Alex. For some reason, the Try Guys seem to be pretty confident defending the woman who was cheating with Ned. In fact, all of them still follow Alex Herring on social media. In their new video statement, Eugene pleaded with fans to exercise kindness because women tend to get more hate than men on the internet in this kind of situation. He was insinuating that Alex has been receiving a lot of criticism from fans and they need to back off. So even though she cheated on her own fiance Will Thayer and emotionally ruined Ned's wife Ariel, it seems like Alex is walking away from all of this without a scratch. The Try Guys haven't publicly denounced her like they did with their executive producer, and they have made no moves to fire her, although that could be a legal risk for the company because as an employee, she could argue that she was coerced to enter the relationship because of the power that Ned had over her in the workplace. So the situation is certainly complicated. Number 8. They all knew. Despite the fact that they've known each other for years and built a successful brand together, the rest of the Try Guys wasted no time in cutting ties with their friend and released a statement just 2 days after the news broke out. On their official Instagram page, they stated that Ned had been fired. Quote, "Ned Fulmer is no longer working for the Try Guys. As a result of an internal review, we do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate through this change." This action was so swift that it surprised a lot of people. But this is because they actually found out about Ned's affair 4 weeks before they made the announcement. Keith confirmed that the Try Guys were alerted to the scandal on September the 5th, and from there the company launched a 3-week investigation into his actions. An inside source claimed that during the investigation it was discovered that the employees knew what was up between Ned and Alex because they noticed flirting, lunchtime hookups, occasional sleepovers, and that the two of them constantly went to events together. Number 7. Multiple women. An Instagram page called Dumois has come forward with several blind items that claim that Ned cheated on Ariel with more than one woman, and some of the allegations date back several years. One anonymous user, claiming to be a former BuzzFeed employee, said, "This is not his first rodeo. Trust me, he's always been like this, and I can confirm that someone else might be coming forward because there have been other former BuzzFeed employees and former co-workers from BuzzFeed that know things and have experienced things. There are a lot of things about Ned that will spill in the next few days." Another user recounted her own story involving Ned. She wrote, "Early in 2016, I had just turned 21 and was doing stupid stuff. I sent Ned Fulmer a sexy selfie of me on Snapchat. He responded asking for more, and this went on for a few months. He was coming to Miami with the Try Guys and wanted to meet up one-on-one. I ended up declining. I'm positive this is just the first girl he's been caught with." Number 6. Fake personas. The success of the Try Guys' brand really has nothing to do with the content that they put out there. It's more about their performance of authenticity and the promise that the character on screen and the human behind the character are largely the same. This is especially true in their characters as nice guys. Keith even said, quote, "There's always some layer of performance on top of who you are, so the more I've been able to cultivate Keith as a character and have me be the same is great." So in other words, even real life Keith said that he wants to be more like the Keith that's on screen. And because all of the Try Guys are very publicly partnered, that only added to their personas. Ned actually said, "I became kind of known for my own relationship, and then we did more of it. I just kind of do it because digital media and YouTube culture is kind of showing who you are as a person." But in the end, this became the channel's downfall, because when Ned's facade fell away, the fans felt lied to. Number 5. Year-long affair. Like a stubborn weed that won't stop sprouting, the Ned Fulmer cheating scandal is blooming at a rapid pace. There is now a claim out there that their workplace relationship actually dates back to December last year. A source close to Will Thayer, Alex's ex-fiance, said that Will went through her phone and saw that her and Ned had first hooked up on a work trip in December. September. Will was able to forgive Alex, but apparently he reached out to Ned, warning him to back off. Then at the start of September, both Will and Ariel received photos and videos of Ned and Alex making out at a club, as well as holding hands in public while they were out in New York City. The timing was incredibly awkward because Ariel had just landed in New York to hang out with the group when she received those messages. She then confronted Ned, who confirmed that he and Alex had been in a relationship for almost a year. Upon finding out, Ariel then hightailed it out of the city and flew back to LA, which makes complete sense because how could she stay there after that? Number 4, sneaking around. Fans started to suspect that Ned was cheating when they noticed that he wasn't involved in the group's videos for the last couple of weeks. In late September, the tweet that prefaced the drama wrote, "Ned has not been present in some of the recent Try Guys' projects. Ned does not appear in the past 3 videos or intros. He also was not in the past 3 podcast episodes." As the main producer and one of the faces of the company, fans found this extremely worrying, and pretty soon it started to look like one of the Try Guys was trying infidelity. So they became more vigilant of his appearances on the channel. It was also very suspicious that Ned and Alex were seen in an Instagram photo promoting Keith's new Eat the Menu series, but they were not seen in the final cut of the video. So Ned had essentially been absent quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. But now we know that the company was most likely investigating him at the time, so he might have even been suspended from the workplace entirely. Number 3, BuzzFeed reaction. They say that no one knows you better than your co-workers, and in Ned's case that might be true as well. Former BuzzFeed alum Devin Lytle tweeted, "2022, the year we realized that wife guys are still guys." Jasmine Robbins posted a cryptic meme with Kermit the Frog and wrote, "Y'all shocked?" So she made it seem like the affair between Ned and Alex was something of an open secret back when they both worked at BuzzFeed. One Twitter user responded by saying, "Makes me feel like Ned had wandering eyes for a long time. Maybe that's why he made the 'I love my wife' thing his thing, to overcompensate. Couples who always flaunt how happy they are and in love they are usually have something to prove. It was right in front of us the whole time, I guess." So it's entirely possible that Ned's on-camera nice guy persona was exactly that, just a persona, and that behind the scenes he has no issues cheating on his wife. Number 2, office hookup. In such a small workplace, a lot of people are wondering how it is that the Try Guys didn't seem to notice the affair, because according to their new video statement, Ned had admitted to them that it had been going on for quite some time. Ned was the executive producer of the Try Guys. The 35-year-old comedian and author founded the group in 2014 while working for BuzzFeed, so he was pretty much at the top of the office pyramid. Alex Herring, on the other hand, worked under Ned as the associate producer, and even though Ned called it a consensual workplace relationship, everyone knows that Alex was his employee. In fact, she's been featured in tons of videos over the years, and casual fans of the channel have gotten to know her pretty well. It's obvious that everyone in the Try Guys' workplace is very close with each other, so a lot of people are scratching their heads at how such a problematic relationship was allowed to flourish unnoticed. And number 1, their audience. If you've watched any of the Try Guys' videos, references to Ned's wife abounded from the very beginning. In fact, just the way he says "my wife" has earned catchphrase status and inspired countless compilation videos, and even official Try Guys merchandise, including a figurine with a plastic Ned that repeats the phrase "my wife" at the press of a button. In general, fans felt that the Try Guys were walking examples of non-toxic masculinity, and so the men were put on a bit of a pedestal. In fact, of the more than 7.5 million subscribers to their channel, the vast majority of the audience is women, nearly 80%. The age demographic is young women in their late teens and early 20s. Having a large female audience is not a red flag, but it goes to show you that there was always a performative aspect to the group's feminism. I mean, that's the whole reason for their fan base. In a way, Ned's infidelity proves that the Try Guys do not necessarily hold the same values that they claim to represent on screen. Number 10, rude to a restaurant hostess. Being a waitress at a fancy restaurant will sometimes give you the chance to meet celebrities when you're working. TikTok user Julia Carolan was working at a fancy restaurant in Manhattan, and she documented her bad experience with Hailey Bieber. In a video, she said, "This is going to be controversial, but I've met her a handful of times, and each time she was not nice. I really wanted to like her, but I have to give her a 3.5 out of 10. Sorry." When the video went viral, Hailey eventually saw it and quickly took to the comment section of the video, and she tried to apologize for how she acted. She said, "Just came across this video, and I'm so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude. That was never my intention." She also added that she would like to apologize to Julia in person and thanked her for calling her out. Thankfully, Hailey had the grace to apologize to Julia, but it's likely that she wouldn't have even considered her behavior rude if she didn't get called out for it and the video didn't go viral. The truth is, you can really make out someone's character just by how they treat those working in the service industry. Like James Corden even found out back in October. So apology or not, this kind of behavior is never okay, but it's good that more and more celebrities are being called out for it these days. Number 9. Racist tweets. Just a few days after she called Twitter a breeding ground for cruelty towards each other, Hailey Bieber got slammed again by Twitter users who had discovered and shared some of the model's old Twitter and Tumblr posts as supposed evidence of her racism and bigotry. It all started when she came to Justin Bieber's defense, after he revealed that he had been diagnosed with Lyme disease, and some of his fans said that he wouldn't have gotten it if he had been with Selena Gomez, which is ridiculous of course, but Hailey's response just caused the trolls to turn their attention on her. These fans then decided to dig up some old dirt about her and succeeded at doing so. They posted screenshots of tweets and Tumblr posts dating back years that showed examples of Hailey using the N-word casually, claiming she came back from Florida a different race, and using language associated with racism against the Asian community. In a tweet from January 2012, she wrote, "Shut up before I smack you back to your own country." And then in November of 2013, she wrote, "To those foreigners who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so sorry your country didn't have pilgrims and Indians to start such a sick holiday." Yeah, that was pretty indefensible. Shortly after, most tweets mentioning her past were deleted, and Hailey then decided to close her Twitter account altogether. Celebrities often forget that you can literally find everything on the internet these days, and obviously Hailey's past eventually came back to haunt her. Number 8. The Nepo Baby shirt. If you've been on the internet recently, you'll have noticed that the dreaded Nepo Baby label is becoming just as popular as the term industry plant. But the Nepo Baby label specifically refers to someone who receives privileges due to their relatives or friends being powerful. Usually it means that someone is able to get jobs because of who they know, and most of the time it's famous parents. Amidst the growing criticism surrounding the Nepo Baby discourse and the fact that she refuses to acknowledge her privilege in this aspect, Hailey bravely decided to wear a Nepo Baby t-shirt, which to many people made it seem like she was proud to be given countless opportunities over everyone else just because of her last name. As expected, this only turned more people against her. Louis Pisano, a writer for Harper's Bazaar, then tweeted out the photo with the caption, "The Hailey Bieber Nepo Baby t-shirt picture gives nothing because she gives nothing. She's not personable enough to give this staged paparazzi shot for a viral moment any personality. She doesn't act or sing. She gets in and out of cars in beige and black YSL and has a skincare line." That tweet went viral, and the crazy thing is that a lot of people seem to agree. Singer Charlie XCX then chimed in and wrote, "I respect the Nepo Baby t-shirt attempt," but the keyword there is obviously attempt. Number 7. Cultural appropriation. Hailey Bieber faced a ton of criticism after she made a TikTok video all about brownie glazed lips, where she wears brown lip liner with a clear glossy lip gloss over the top. That was coincidentally from her own beauty brand called Rhode. So what is the problem with this kind of makeup, and why was it making people angry? Well, Hailey was called out for appropriating a makeup technique that's historically been worn by Latinas and black and brown women since the 90s. Not only that, but she tried to rename the look as brownie glazed lips, so for a lot of people that was the last straw. Naturally, her video led to an influx of primarily white influencers recreating the look on the platform and crediting her as their inspiration. As the trend took off, it became clear that this was yet another case of a white celebrity claiming to have started a beauty technique that has long been practiced by women of color. The controversy reached a boiling point when the topic began to trend on Twitter, and this is because the incident is hardly new. In fact, it's part of a larger conversation concerning cultural appropriation, specifically in beauty practices, especially when it comes to so-called trends that are popularized on platforms like TikTok and touted by influencers and celebrities. This one was a bit of a gray area considering that Hailey never specifically claimed to have invented the look, so the only real issue is that she didn't credit the origin of the makeup look. Number 6. Snubbing a fellow influencer. In June last year, Hailey was called out by an influencer who just happened to be a guest at her Rhode launch party. Beauty vlogger Iris Balin attended the launch party for Hailey's skincare brand, and she said that she had a terrible experience. She posted an Instagram video explaining what went down, and apparently the whole atmosphere of the event was off. She said the event was beautiful, like it was literally a nightclub kind of thing, but the girl gets there with her friends Kylie Jenner, Kendall Jenner, all of her friends are there, but they have this corner that only they could be in. So basically, Hailey stayed in the VIP section at her own launch party. Iris said that she wanted to take a picture with her and was excited to hear about her brand, but Hailey refused to talk to her or even come near her. The idea is that when you're in a room full of influential beauty icons and content creators, you need to get those people on board with your new product. Iris said this girl didn't say anything, and it was the most awkward thing because there were people hovering to take pictures with her, to talk to her. This is your event, show up for your event, or have your rep people say something. something. But yeah, no, Hailey didn't say anything or want to talk about anything. Apparently, it was Kylie Jenner that eventually said a few words about the skincare line, but no one heard from the founder all night. Number 5. Allegations of cheating. Hailey and Justin, who recently celebrated 4 years of marriage, got together after Justin and Selena had broken off their relationship. But some people have always wondered if that was the whole real story. Interestingly enough, while she was on the Call Her Daddy podcast, Hailey actually suggested that Selena and Justin weren't as serious as everyone thought at the time. When she reconciled with Justin in June of 2018, Hailey insisted that he and Selena were not in a relationship. She spoke about their brief reunion and claimed that by that point it was just closure for them. She said, "As a woman, I would never want to get into a relationship with someone and be engaged to them and be getting married to them and be thinking in the back of my mind, I wonder if that door was really closed. I know for a fact that the reason we were able to get back together was because it was very much completely closed." She went on to say, "It was the right thing for them to close that door. It closed a chapter. I think it was the best thing that could have happened for him to move on." She said that a lot of the hate she gets comes from the perception that she stole Justin. But Hailey insisted that the only people that really know the truth of the situation and what the timeline was actually them. To this day though, the exact timeline is still debated, considering that many fans think Selena and Justin were actually in a relationship when they got back together in 2018. But of course, only they really know the truth. Number 4. Tone-deaf comments. A lot of the backlash against Hailey came when she invited Gwyneth Paltrow on an episode of her YouTube show Who's in My Bathroom, and the two of them discussed the label of nepotism, given that they both come from famous families. If you didn't know, Hailey is linked to Stephen Baldwin, William Baldwin, and Alec Baldwin, so she was born into a family of stars, and it has undeniably fast-tracked her success. Some have also argued that her marriage to Justin Bieber is also what catapulted her into the mega fame that she has now. This is mostly because Hailey tends to fall under the category of celebrities that are famous just for being famous, and is more or less considered a Hollywood socialite than anything else. When Gwyneth Paltrow appeared on the show, she spoke about being the child of famous parents and claimed that she's had to work twice as hard as someone without her connections, because apparently people are always ready to pull her down and say, "You are only there because of your dad or your mum." Hailey of course agreed with her statements that she has it harder than regular people in the industry. These comments came off as extremely tone-deaf, and it really set the internet against her. Many fans have since called her out for essentially refusing to acknowledge how she got where she is today. Number 3. Ignoring Addison Rae. In May of 2021, Hailey found herself in hot water when people accused her of being rude and ignoring Addison Rae, who was her guest on Hailey's YouTube series Who's in My Bathroom. The two stars made sandwiches and sundaes while talking about their lives. At one point, Hailey asked Addison how she deals with privacy as a social media star, especially when it comes to her romantic relationships. But when Addison responded and started explaining that she has learned over the years how to keep her love life private, Hailey seems to focus on her food more than anything else. Even though the topics were pretty dark, fans noticed that Hailey would stick out her tongue while pouring sauce over ice cream and sprayed whipped cream into her mouth. Essentially, some people felt that she was rude for not paying attention to her guest on her own show. When the criticism amped up, Hailey then explained that her show is meant to be lighthearted, and that was a feeling that she wanted to convey. She said, "I just didn't want it to get too intense and too deep. I never want someone to come on Who's in My Bathroom and feel like I'm trying to pry information out of them or get them to talk about a subject that could potentially be sensitive or uncomfortable for them, just for the sake of views." Which, I mean, is completely fine, given that it's just the way that she wants to present her own show. Number 2. Justin Bieber's antics. After a video of the singer yelling at Hailey went viral, fans have wondered what was said and what the real story was between the husband and wife. In July of 2021, the couple were in Las Vegas to celebrate Kendall Jenner's new tequila brand 818 Tequila. After the night, a TikTok user by the name of Yanjeric23 posted a video of Justin and Hailey leaving the club with fans and bodyguards around them. In the video, you could see that they were holding hands as he yelled at her while they walked down the halls of the hotel. The clip went viral on TikTok with more than 1.2 million views, and it drew concern from fans everywhere. Before it was deleted, many users took to the comments to slam Justin for how he treated Hailey, although some fans came to his defense and said that he wasn't yelling at her out of anger but out of excitement. Then in September that same year, there was a video posted on Twitter showing Justin running away from paparazzi and fully leaving Hailey while she falls to the ground. Fans immediately took to the comments expressing their empathy for Hailey, considering that this wasn't the first time Justin just took off without her. For whatever reason, he seems to not care about the fact that he left her in an uncomfortable situation. And coming in at number 1, calling out Selena fans. Back in September, Hailey made an appearance on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast. She asked if Justin or anyone in their circle now has ever asked Selena to try and put an end to the hatred that is coming from her fans. Haley said that she has no expectation of Selena doing that, but if that was something that she felt was necessary, then that would be amazing. She addressed the massive amounts of trolling she's received from haters all these years, when they flooded her Instagram lives with nasty comments, and when they stood outside the Met Gala in 2021 to scream Selena when she and Justin walked the red carpet. Haley recalled that moment and said, "Yes, I could hear everyone screaming. I think there's a certain part of you that has a numbness. It was disrespectful to me, to my relationship. It just was, period. But I think I've endured so much disrespect, and I still do to this day, that there's a part of me that was just like another day, another negative slave." Haley then hopped on TikTok to issue a direct message to people that were trolling her on social media. She said, "Leave me alone at this point. I'm minding my business. I don't do anything. I don't say anything. Leave me alone, please. That's the only request. Leave me alone. Be miserable somewhere else, please." So clearly by that point you could tell that she'd had enough. Number 10, the infamous leaked voicemail. Back in 2007, Alex said something that shocked the world, and it was about his daughter Ireland Baldwin. The actor faced scandal and warranted criticism when a voicemail he had left for the then 11-year-old Ireland was leaked by TMZ. When his daughter failed to answer her father's scheduled morning call, he practically exploded. He screamed, "Once again, I have made an A of myself trying to get to a phone. You have insulted me for the last time. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old or a child, or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the A who doesn't care about what you do. You've made me feel like crap and you need to straighten your A out. I'll let you know how I really feel about what a thoughtless little pig you are." Alec continued screaming on the phone, saying, "This crap you pull on me with this phone situation that you would never dream of doing to your mother, and you do it to me constantly over and over again." When the voicemail was leaked, it made headlines everywhere and had very real-life consequences for Alec. In fact, a family law judge was so alarmed after hearing the tape that she temporarily barred him from having any contact with Ireland. Number 9, Hilaria pretending to be Spanish. The podcaster and former yoga instructor became a laughingstock on social media after it was revealed her claims of a Spanish heritage were entirely false. Alec Baldwin then jumped in to defend his wife after she found herself caught in the embarrassing lie. It all started in December of 2020 when Hilaria posted an Instagram live hitting back at critics for discussing her appearance. But in the heat of the moment during the 4-minute video, she forgot to speak in the Spanish accent that she's been putting on for close to a decade. This resulted in a massive internet investigation where people found out that she is in fact not from Spain, as she's claimed multiple times in the past, but she was actually born in Boston, USA. Oh, and her name isn't Hilaria, it's Hillary. Fans also dug up a shocking clip of her on the Today Show pretending not to know the English word for cucumber. Eventually she started backpedaling like crazy and claimed that she first visited Spain when she was a baby and her family returned at least once every year, but she declines to specify how much time she spent there altogether. In response, Alec came forward to defend his wife from the allegations and said, "You have to consider the source," but he really gave no reasoning as to why she's been putting on that accent this whole time. Number 8, kicked off of a flight. In 2011, Alec was forcibly removed from an American Airlines flight for unruly behavior. The story goes that the flight attendant allegedly asked him to turn off his phone, and he refused, was rude, took his phone into the lavatory and slammed the door. For his part, he claimed that he was playing words with friends and that he was singled out because of who he was. Oh, and he also complained that flying had become a Greyhound bus experience. The actor then attacked the company again and tweeted, "Flight attendant on American Airlines reamed me out for playing words with friends while we sat at the gate not moving. Hashtag no wonder America Air is bankrupt." American Airlines then called him out on their Facebook page saying, "Passenger was extremely rude to the crew, calling them inappropriate names and using offensive language." Alec then wrote a column apologizing to fellow passengers who were delayed by the incident, but he still did not take any responsibility. Instead, he blamed a flight attendant who apparently singled him out to put his phone away while the other passengers were left undisturbed. Claimed that the woman decided to make an example of him, but if anything, he was clearly upset that he didn't get special treatment. Number 7, punching paparazzi. When it comes to attacking photographers, Alec has quite an extensive rap sheet. In 1995, he was arrested after he punched photographer Alan Zenger outside of his California home. The incident took place as he and his then wife Kim Basinger were bringing their newborn daughter Ireland home from the hospital. Although he was acquitted of misdemeanor battery charges, he lost a civil case against Zenger and was ordered to pay the photographer $4,500 in damages. Then in 2000 2012, photographer Marcus Santos filed criminal charges against Alec for punching him and shoving him after Santos took pictures of him and Hilaria outside the courthouse. According to the New York Daily News, the photographer claimed that Alec lunged at him like a bull. For his part, the actor denied it and claimed that the photographer almost hit him with the camera, and later made a comparison to Trayvon Martin's killing on Twitter, which was obviously done in very poor taste. Interestingly enough, these are not even the only instances of Alec getting physical with a member of the public. In November of 2018, he allegedly punched a man over a parking spot outside his apartment. Alec was then arrested and later sued the man, accusing him of lying about the whole incident. Number 6. Snapping at Hilaria. Alec Baldwin is notorious for having a short fuse. Unfortunately, this was on full display when he gave a tense interview to the press about the tragic accidental death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, and this time his wife was present to experience his temper. Back in October of 2021, Alec and Hilaria stopped on the side of the road and gave a surprise interview to the photographers that were tailing their car. The couple were both clearly very aggravated with one reporter who couldn't remember Halyna's name. Alec said, "You don't know her name? Come on." But many pointed out that he seemed to be more irritated with his wife than the reporters. She was filming the whole thing, and when she approached him with her camera in hand, he shot her an irritated look and said, "Excuse me." Then when Hilaria tried to respond to one of the questions and said, "I brought him up here because we have to mourn Halyna's death. Alec had a really traumatic thing happen, and I'm trying to limit the PTSD." But then her husband snapped at her and said, "Do me a favor, I'm going to answer the question." To be fair, at the time of the interview, both of them looked extremely stressed out, and it's likely that they were feeling the pressure of the sudden media attention. Number 5. The New York City arrest. In what was perhaps the silliest reason to get arrested, Alec was put in handcuffs because he was riding his bike the wrong way. In May of 2014, police officers stopped the actor for riding his bicycle in the wrong direction down a one-way street in New York City. He was arrested and placed in handcuffs and charged with disorderly conduct after failing to cooperate with the officers. This is where he allegedly became aggressive and started yelling at the cop, asking him for identification in order to issue him a summons. Police alleged that he was belligerent and started arguing with them while using profanity. Once in custody, Alec reportedly asked the desk supervisor, "How old are these officers that they don't know who I am?" He then took his anger onto Twitter and slammed the city of New York, calling it a mismanaged carnival of stupidity that is desperate for revenue and anxious to criminalize behavior once thought benign. Now that was a pretty good critique, but according to Detective Annette Markowski, it was him who was being aggressive in an everyday situation. She told Time magazine that he got belligerent and began arguing with the officers, although in the end he was cleared of the charges after a court appearance in July. Number 4. Exposed by his family. Alec once again made headlines in April of 2022 when Ireland and her mother, aka his ex-wife Kim Basinger, opened up on a Red Table Talk about the challenges that they faced dealing with him over the years. Although the women tried to put a positive spin on it, the interview paints a pretty clear picture of the way they view life with Alec. Kim said, "You know, we're all fine, we all get along, whatever, but he's a challenge. We've had our challenges." While discussing Ireland's battle with mental health, the actress said, "I don't think Alec was emotionally or mentally available for that kind of talk. Alec operates in a very different way in his life." Ireland then turned to Jada Pinkett Smith and explained that she thinks her father suffers from anxiety. She said, "He's someone who grew up in a family that would suppress that anxiety as well, or tell him he's weak for feeling that way." She went on to say, "There are things I would go to my father for, but if I ever went to try to have this mental health conversation in any way with him, I don't think he would be able to really absorb any of it." Which is obviously very sad that the two of them aren't able to connect on that level. Number 3. Using a slur. In November of 2013, Alec was accused of and eventually admitted to using gay slurs towards the paparazzi during a fight that was captured on video. The entire scene was caught on tape by TMZ. He attacked photographer Paul Adio and pinned him to a car after he and Hilaria were followed in Greenwich Village. He also told his Twitter following that he was going to straighten out this effing little B in regard to a gay reporter who claimed that Hilaria was on social media during James Gandolfini's funeral. He then posted, "I apologize and will retire the slur from my vocabulary." In the fallout of the event, his new MSNBC talk show was cancelled after only 5 episodes. According to Deadline, the decision definitely had something to do with his tirade at a photographer, where he yelled these homophobic slurs. The incident led him to write an essay for Vulture called Goodbye Public Life, where he said, "After the TMZ event, Capital One did not renew my contract, though it politely said the two things were unrelated. AT&T had booked me for a paid speech in Orlando and then cancelled. Why NYC lost my funding for my radio show. The tone of the essay made it clear that Alec was completely defeated, having lost millions of dollars in brand deals. Number 2, blaming Rose McGowan. Alec faced a fierce backlash after he seemed to blame the actress for the way the scandal played out. In fact, this interview with PBS NewsHour was so controversial that it led the actor to leave Twitter. He started the interview by admitting that he had treated women in sexist ways before, bringing up the disgraced movie mogul. At one point, he said that Rose McGowan delayed justice when she accepted a $100,000 settlement from before going public with the allegation. He said it was for Rose McGowan to prosecute that case. Women take money and are silenced by that money, even though they took the money and were silenced because they were told. Beyond the money, it was the right thing for them to do. When they do it nonetheless, does it set back the cause of change? Alec's comments were quickly criticized by many, as they seem to have an undertone of victim blaming. It also doesn't help that he's always been a loud supporter of figures like Woody Allen and James Toback, regardless of what might come out about them. Eventually, Alec's Twitter account was suspended after he got into a war of words with Rose McGowan, Asia Argentino, and Anthony Bourdain. And coming in at number 1, the Rust set incident. As we know, on October the 21st of 2021, the actor was involved in an incident that resulted in the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins while they were on the set of the movie Rust. Alec used a prop firearm which just happened to be loaded. Hutchins was hit in the chest and had to be airlifted to the University of New Mexico Hospital, but she later died from her injuries. Another victim in the tragedy was director Joel Souza, who was hit in the shoulder. The 42-year-old filmmaker was taken to St. Christus St. Vincent Regional Medical Center with a helicopter, and he was released the following day after his injury was treated. After more than a year-long investigation, Alec was charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter and is now facing a maximum of 18 months in prison if he is convicted. His attorney Luke Nikas responded to the news in a statement, saying this decision distorts Halyna Hutchinson's tragic death and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the firearm or anywhere on the movie set. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him that it did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges and we will win. As of now, there is a heated debate going on about whether or not Alec deserves the charges. Number 10, bad at comedy. A wise person on Twitter said, James Corden might be a lot of things, but I draw the line at him being labeled a comedian. Aside from the fact that he's just straight up not funny, he seems to have an awful habit of failing to read the room and noticing when his poor jokes fall flat. Fans remember when he completely bombed at an AIDS research benefit gig in LA in 2017. In an effort to appear edgy, he brought up the scandal that had just come out that very same week. In videos of the event, James said that it was a beautiful night in LA. So beautiful, Harvey has already asked tonight up to his hotel to give him a massage. He ignores the loud groans from the audience and then says, it has been weird this week, hasn't it? Watching Harvey in hot water. Ask any of the women who watched him take a bath. The backlash against him was huge. And rightfully so. If you're going to make offensive jokes, you have to at least be funny. Number 9, ruining movies. James Corden's acting career started out well enough, but things went downhill fast as his fame grew. It's well known that he pretty much accepts every work offer that comes his way without much consideration, resulting in multiple flops. These included some truly awful movies like Cinderella, Lesbian Vampire Slayers, and The Emoji Movie. He also came under fire for exploiting gay stereotypes with his character in The Prom. But his most cringeworthy performance ever was in the movie Cats, where he played a creepy humanoid cat called Bustopher Jones. The CGI human cats were literally sickening to look at and have been the subject of my nightmares for too long. The movie was a critically savaged box office disaster. Despite James saying that he didn't regret his involvement, he later admitted that he would never ever watch the film himself. In fact, people are so sick of seeing him on the big screen and ruining every musical he touches that there is now a viral petition to keep James Corden out of the new Wicked movie. So far, it has more than 100,000 signatures. Number 8, rude to waiters. On Monday, the owner of a high-end New York City restaurant called Balthazar made a viral Instagram post blasting James Corden for his horrible behavior towards staff. He called him a tiny cretin of a man and the worst customer to his servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago. He claimed that in one instance, James demanded 2 free rounds of drinks for him and his friends after he presented a hair that was found on his food and said, "Get us another round of drinks this second. And also take care of all our drinks so far. This way I won't write any nasty reviews on Yelp." On another occasion, he is said to have flipped out when an egg egg yolk omelette his wife ordered was found to have very little egg white in it. He allegedly went ballistic and started tearing into the waiter, saying, "Maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelette myself." According to the owner, James was so awful that he felt compelled to out him publicly and ban him from the restaurant, something that is very rarely done in high-end establishments. Number 7. Fight with Patrick Stewart. A clip from the 2010 Glamour Awards resurfaced recently where Patrick Stewart obliterates James Corden on stage, and it's the definition of public humiliation. They were presenting an award together when Stewart suddenly decided to call him out for his disinterested attitude towards the ceremony. He said, "When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here." Corden was super caught off guard at first, and so was everyone else in the audience. He was obviously embarrassed and shot back with, "If I looked like that, I'm sorry, but when you come up and present an award, just effing get on with it." Both of them should have moved on from there, but it somehow got even cringier when Stewart decided to make fun of Corden's weight. He said, "From where I was sitting, I can see your belly," and that was over at the back of the room. But continued back and forth for a few minutes, but it was so uncomfortable to watch, it felt more like hours. Loving this video so far? Please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 6. Exposed on Reddit. In 2019, James wanted to surprise fans by making an appearance on Reddit's infamous Ask Me Anything thread to promote a special edition of the show. But the plan massively backfired when users started flooding the thread talking about the horrible experiences they've had meeting him in real life. In the end, James was only able to answer 3 questions before he dipped. Probably because the truth was coming out about him and he was getting brutally roasted. One viral post said, "Hey James, you won't remember me, but me and my friends sat at a table next to you and Harry Styles, and some others in Manchurian Legends in London's Chinatown about 6 years ago. We didn't bother you, but you were a massively entitled C-word who yelled and treated the waitstaff like crap, and when one of my party politely suggested that you calm down, you got really aggressive and threatening. So my question is, why did Harry seem so cool while you were a massive throbbing bellend?" Number 5. Flight incident. This one absolutely boils my blood. We're going to talk about the infamous Reddit post that horrified the internet. Half an hour into a New York to London flight, passengers in business class noticed a woman with a crying baby being brought through the curtains by a flight attendant. They looked on in mild horror as they saw the attendant direct her into an empty seat next to James Corden. They were expecting him to throw a fit, but instead he simply put on a pair of noise-cancelling headphones, pulled an eye mask over his eyes, and turned away from her to sleep. Pretty decent of him, right? When the plane landed, passengers were surprised to see him remain seated as the woman with the baby struggled to open the overhead locker, and even more surprised when she turned to him and said, "For F's sake, can you at least hold the baby while I get the bags?" The woman was his wife. The baby was his baby. That's the father of the year right there. Number 4. Fake persona. While Corden's public image is of a lovable Brit, his behavior in private has been described by some as less than desirable, and that is an understatement. For many people, the nice guy public persona has worn thin, and there are too many cases where the mask has slipped, revealing a more arrogant and spiteful side to him. Corden increasingly gained a reputation, all for behaving badly towards the people who work for him and with him. One allegation by comedian and podcaster Jack Allison was that he attended a Writers Guild Association meeting specifically to advocate for lowering the pay of his late night writers. How disgusting is that? He was also allegedly extremely rude to production assistants and staff while filming the UK game show A League of Their Own. To sum it all up, the editor-in-chief of Hard Drive magazine, Jeremy Kalpowitz, tweeted, "James Corden is the most worked with the robots to betray the humans and get put back into the Matrix as a famous actor person who has ever existed." Number 3. Pretend driving. Carpool karaoke was one of the most popular segments on The Late Show, but on the 2nd of January in 2020, fans spotted Corden filming a new episode with Justin Bieber and shared the video to Twitter. Rather than being on the road, the black SUV was being towed by a tow truck, and Corden was pretending to drive it. The viral video led to mass outrage on social media, with many people criticizing the host for being deceptive and labeling him as an outright phony. He really had no choice but to address the scandal and said, "Fake news, I always drive the car, unless we're doing something where we think it might not be safe." He did admit that the car had been towed on rare occasions, but maintained that 95% of the time he was driving it. The thing is that a lot of people tuned into his show only for carpool karaoke, so the fact that it was staged made the episodes feel artificial and took a lot of the fun out of it. Number 2. Doesn't know his own crew. Amidst the growing controversy, other videos exposing James Corden have resurfaced online, and one shows the awkward moment when he was asked to name members of his own TV crew, and he couldn't do it. In the video from 2016, Jimmy Kimmel appeared on The Late Show for a game called Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, a truth or dare game that gives guests the option of eating disgusting foods or answering personal questions. He then tells James, name 2 of the cameramen in this room. He started laughing because it was obvious that he didn't know. Then he just said, that is a great question. It's a different crew tonight actually. In the end, he had to drink a fish smoothie because he couldn't name the crew members. Then, if you think that was a coincidence, 1 year later, during a Q&A segment with his audience, one crowd member asked him to name a cameraman and he failed once again. I mean, this is far from the worst thing that he's ever done, but it does go to show you that he doesn't really care about the people that work underneath him. And coming in at number 1, universally disliked. If you want to know how the majority of people really feel about James Corden, just spend 5 minutes on Twitter. When Ryanair announced on Twitter that they had also banned James from flying with them, the reactions were hilarious. So many memes flooded the platform of people claiming that he had been banned from other random places like the Glee Club or Fortnite. A meme even went viral of Dakota Johnson looking excited, with the caption, watching the long-awaited downfall of James Corden. One user wrote, I don't need James Corden banned from Balthazar, I need him banned from movie musicals. Someone else tweeted, a reminder that James Corden is an utter prick, an unfunny bellend of a man. There's a reason he's hated in the UK. Here he is being a wanker to Patrick Stewart, who called him out for being unprofessional. Former TMZ journalist Morgan Tremaine said that James Corden is a prime example of fame obliterating someone's sense of basic decency towards other people. Someone even called him the late night version of Ellen, so it's a wonder that he has any fans left at all.
Coming in at number 10, his inappropriate behavior. Prince William was a partier, especially in early adulthood. Sometimes his drinking and partying got him in a lot of trouble though. For example, snaps of a drunk William emerged online after a wild night on March 23, 2007, as he was caught seemingly groping the of an 18-year-old Brazilian woman named Ana Ferreira. The British press had a field day with the picture. Some backstory, William had been knee-deep in his military tank warfare training in Dorset, and he decided to have a night out on the town. Innocent enough, right? Well, he was partying in a nightclub, and word went around that William was there playing cheesy 80s music, so people wanted to go see him. One of those people was Ana, and she and her friends went to take a look. She said he was dancing, looking a bit wooden. I don't think he would have been any good at the samba, but there were a lot of girls hanging around him. William, who was 24 at the time, posed for some pictures with Ana and her friends. Ana said, I was a little bit drunk myself, but felt something brush my breast. I thought it couldn't be the feature king, but now that I've seen the picture, it's no wonder he had such a smile on his face. Yikes. Being drunk is not a valid excuse for this. Number 9. Taking his son hunting. The British aristocracy is renowned for its hunting traditions. King George V and his friend once killed almost 4,000 birds during just one outing. Prince William is no exception to the royal love of hunting, and he was in hot water in 2020 when he took his son, Prince George, then aged 7, on a trip to shoot grouse. The animal activist group PETA argued that William forcibly exposing his young son to animal cruelty may have detrimental effects on his mental well-being. For a child to be compelled to witness such casual killing and by a parent he looks up to no less is potentially as harmful to his or her psyche as it is to the bird's very life, said its director Mimi Bekashit. This wasn't the first time he faced condemnation for hunting though. In 2014, William shot dead a wild boar and stag during a trip to Spain, despite having slammed rhino hunters as selfish just months earlier. In 2016, William even justified trophy hunting in the name of conservation. He said, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the argument for regulated, properly controlled commercial hunting is that the money that goes from shooting a very old and fertile animal goes back into the production of the other species. Number 8. Blamed Africa for wildlife loss. Now, following in the footsteps of his father, Prince William has fashioned himself as something of a conservationist. In 2017, William gave a speech at the Tusk Trust, an organization focused on wildlife preservation, in which he blamed overpopulation in Africa for wildlife loss. He said Africa's rapidly growing human population is predicted to more than double by 2050. There's no question that this increase puts wildlife and habitat under enormous pressure. Consequently, he faced a huge backlash to the controversial remarks.
remarks. Some argue that, as a privileged prince, William had little right to act as the custodian of conservation in Africa. Many accuse William of harboring a white savior mentality, arguing that African voices should be at the forefront of discussions about wildlife loss in their homelands. Moreover, there was only one black person present at the event, amplifying the alleged inherent racism in William's remarks. The conversation highlighted that William's perceived white savior mentality is central to the colonial history of conservation, noting that under imperious rule, many natives were forbidden from exploring their natural surroundings. Number 7. Not taking responsibility. Prince William and Kate took a controversial trip to India in 2016. The royal family's relationship with India has historically been at the center of controversy. For instance, the crown jewels were taken from India, which the British Empire colonized for 90 years. Accordingly, India has requested that Queen Elizabeth II return the diamond, deeming the British acquisition a theft. The couple were criticized for visiting a wildlife conservation with a shoot-to-kill policy against poachers. Prince William inquired about the policy and was told that the poachers were using sophisticated automatic weapons, whereas the forest guards had old rifles. However, this had been disputed amidst claims that the guards have actually shot dead members of a local tribe who merely attempted to pick food from the area. Critics also argued that the positive media coverage of the couple's visit whitewashed the royal family's history of oppression against Indian people. The Independent argued India may have gained independence nearly 70 years ago, but that doesn't stop Kate and William using the country as a playground for their publicity stunt. If we have to watch these two pose with slum children, then we could at least do so while telling the truth about Britain's horrendous history. Number 6. Stealing Harry's engagement ring. When Princess Diana passed away, she left her 12-carat oval Ceylon sapphire ring to her second son, Prince Harry. However, at the time, Prince Harry felt that the ring should go to the future queen and gave Prince William the ring when he learned that he wanted to propose to Kate Middleton. When the prince and his bride-to-be announced their engagement in 2010, he shared that the ring had been on a journey of its own. The prince proposed to Kenya and revealed that I had been carrying it around with me in my rucksack for about 3 weeks before that, and I literally would not let it go. Everywhere I went, I was keeping hold of it. It's my mother's engagement ring. Obviously, she's not going to be around to share any of the fun and excitement of it all, and this was my way of keeping her sort of close to it all. However, many know that Princess Diana and Prince Charles's marriage was nothing to replicate. Riddled with affairs, insecurities, and the nastiest of rumors, their union ended in a scandalous divorce. Now, upon hearing this, many people thought that it wasn't a good idea to propose with a ring that came from a failed marriage, and that it was a bad omen. And well, after everything that's happened, I'm sure Harry wishes that he gave the ring to Meghan. Number 5. Being complicit in colonialism. In March 2022, the Duke and Duchess of Caribbean tour was at the center of heated contention. Their first stop had a poor start after the couple attempted to land their plane in a football field, leading to protests from locals who deemed the act a manifestation of the royals' colonial mindset. One person said, "We don't want them to land on our land, that's the message we want to send." Then, when the pair arrived in Jamaica, they were met with more protests, who condemned the royals' family history of imperial violence and called out the couple for ignoring the history of the monarchy. In an open letter, the protesters argued, "We see no reason to celebrate 70 years of the ascension of your grandmother to the British throne because her leadership and that of her predecessors have perpetuated the greatest human rights tragedy in the history of mankind." In the wake of the controversy, the Duke was asked to apologize for the monarch's history of slavery, but instead he said slavery was a stain on our history. So, that's great. Number 4. Skipping work. For a lot of people, taking a sneaky day off work is possible, but when you're second in line to the throne, perhaps jetting off to a Swiss resort is not the best indication of your loyalty. In 2017, Prince William seemingly decided that a ski trip to Switzerland with his pals was more important than attending the Commonwealth service at Westminster Abbey, a service attended by every member of the royal family except him. He was photographed dad dancing, cavorting with 20-something models, and boozing the night away while his relatives performed their royal duties. William was then slammed over his apparent aversion to his duties. Critics argued that as a publicly funded institution, the royal family must carry out their duties as a means of giving back to the people. Subsequently, William's decision to go on a boys' outing was controversial not only because he backed out of his duties, but because it was likely funded by the British taxpayer. In an interview with BBC, William has defended himself against these claims, insisting that he takes duty very seriously. Sure will. Number 3. Not caring about the pandemic. In 2020, Britain implemented some of the harshest pandemic restrictions in Europe. People were banned from leaving their local area, only permitted to go outside for brief exercise or essential work. However, Prince William allegedly broke said lockdown laws by traveling to Scotland, which had its own strict rules by the way, at a time when cases were skyrocketing. While everyone was stuck at home, William and Kate traveled all over Scotland like it was pre-2020 times. I couldn't see my grandparents for months, but they could travel because it was considered essential travel. Yeah. Okay. Many question what was so essential about the royals' trip across the Scottish Isles. Subsequently, there were calls for the couple to be prosecuted. Dr. Katrina Farrell said it's a slap in the face at the time when people can't get married, have restricted numbers at funerals, and hospital inpatients aren't allowed visitors. What exactly makes this essential travel? And I agree. Number 2. Dismissing racist remarks. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's now infamous interview with Oprah Winfrey was full of damning confessions about the royal family. But perhaps the most shocking claim was that a senior member of the royal family made racist remarks about baby Archie's skin tone. Now, it's assumed that the member was Prince Charles, now King Charles, who is William and Harry's father. After this was revealed, Prince William was swift to defend his family against claims of racism, insisting, "We're very much not a racist family." For William, it seemed that he was more concerned about defending the royal institution rather than his brother. But the rift between the princes grows deeper amidst allegations of the dismissive way in which William reacted to his brother's valid distress and hurting following the racist microaggression. Royal author Christopher Anderson told Us Weekly that both William and Prince Charles supposedly called Harry oversensitive and believed he was overreacting to the incident, trying to gaslight him. And coming in at number 1, his affair. Even though Prince William has been a part of many scandals through the years, nothing captured the media's attention the way that his alleged affair with Rose Hanbury did. In Touch first broke the news that William may have cheated on Kate Middleton with Rose Hanbury. Apparently, the affair occurred when the Duchess of Cambridge was expecting Louis in 2018 and only came to light in 2019. Cheating on a pregnant woman? Really well. The outlet alleged that Kate confronted her husband, but he reportedly laughed off the accusations. A prominent staff writer at the Times of London then seemingly confirmed the rumors when he tweeted, "It is an affair. I haven't read the piece, but I know about the affair. Everybody knows about the affair, darling." He later deleted that message though. A source said, "The reality is most couples have their issues, and William and Kate are no different. The world was shocked to hear that the alleged affair rocked the palace and their marriage."